question on many people's minds: who will betray Trump? In the ever-evolving political landscape of 2025, one question persists: who will betray Trump? As President Donald Trump embarks on his second term, the dynamics of loyalty and dissent within his circle have become more complex than ever. This analysis delves into the intricate web of alliances, examining historical precedents and current events to explore who might turn against Trump and why. What are your thoughts on loyalty in politics? Share in the comments. The loyalty-first culture Trump's power base. The politics of loyalty. President Donald Trump's political strategy has long been anchored in a culture that prioritizes unwavering loyalty. This approach has solidified his base but has also led to significant internal and external challenges. The foundation of loyalty. From the moment Donald Trump entered the political arena, loyalty became the defining characteristic of his inner circle. His leadership style demanded absolute allegiance, creating a unique political ecosystem where devotion was often rewarded and dissent was met with swift repercussions. This expectation extended not only to his administration but also to members of Congress, media allies, and political operatives. Over the years, Trump built a network of loyalists who remained steadfast in their support, including figures like Susie Wiles, Laura Trump, Dana White, Linda McMahon, Howard Lutnick, Boris Epshteyn, Stephen Miller, Richard Grenell, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Brooke Rollins. These individuals have been instrumental in shaping his policies, promoting his messaging, and defending his administration in times of crisis. However, history has demonstrated that even the most trusted allies can shift their loyalties when political survival is at stake. The case of Mitch McConnell, one of the most significant demonstrations of the shifting tides of loyalty in Trump's orbit, has been his relationship with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. McConnell, who played a crucial role in confirming Trump's judicial nominees and advancing key legislative priorities, gradually distanced himself from the former president in moments of political turbulence. In early 2025, McConnell opposed several of Trump's high-profile nominations, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Pete Hegseth, and Tulsi Gabbard. Despite a Republican majority Senate ultimately approving these appointments, McConnell's dissent marked a notable departure from his previous support. His opposition was not merely a matter of political calculation, rather it reflected broader concerns within the GOP regarding executive overreach and Trump's evolving foreign policy stance. McConnell's shift is emblematic of the broader reality of political loyalty. Alliances are often conditional, and when a leader's influence becomes a liability, even longtime allies may choose to distance themselves. The perils of absolute loyalty. Trump's insistence on unwavering loyalty has drawn criticism from political analysts and opponents who argue that it stifles critical debate within his administration. This atmosphere of enforced allegiance can lead to significant consequences. Policy blind spots. The lack of dissenting voices may result in ill-considered decisions that are not thoroughly vetted. Loss of experienced figures. Seasoned political figures like McConnell, who challenged Trump's direction, risk being marginalized, potentially weakening institutional stability. Legal and ethical risks. Absolute loyalty can encourage officials to prioritize personal allegiance over constitutional obligations, leading to ethical breaches. One clear example of this dynamic was the fallout from the 2020 election. Trump's pressure on Vice President Mike Pence to reject the certification of electoral votes, despite legal experts widely agreeing that Pence had no such authority, illustrates how loyalty was expected to override constitutional duty. Richard Nixon's inner circle. Trump's emphasis on loyalty bears striking similarities to the dynamics within President Richard Nixon's administration, particularly in the lead-up to the Watergate scandal. Nixon surrounded himself with an inner circle that valued loyalty above all else, including figures like H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman. This unwavering allegiance contributed to decisions that led to illegal activities and a cover-up that ultimately resulted in Nixon's resignation. One of the key lessons from Watergate is that an administration that discourages internal dissent can find itself vulnerable to ethical and legal crises. Nixon's downfall was not merely due to the scandal itself, but also to his demand for unyielding loyalty, which led members of his administration to engage in illegal activities on his behalf. The parallels between Nixon's and Trump's leadership styles raise questions about the long-term sustainability of a political strategy rooted in absolute allegiance. While Trump's approach has ensured a devoted base, it has also created an environment where loyalty often takes precedence over governance and institutional norms. Does a culture of absolute loyalty strengthen or weaken leadership? Allies who turned against Trump. Throughout his political career, President Trump has experienced notable defections from his inner circle. These instances of perceived betrayal offer insights into the volatile nature of political alliances. While some departures were fueled by ideological differences, others were driven by personal grievances, political calculations, or legal pressures. The departure of John Bolton, who served as National Security Advisor, initially aligned with Trump's foreign policy vision, particularly on issues such as China, Iran, and North Korea. However, tensions arose over Trump's willingness to negotiate with adversaries like Kim Jong-un and his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria. Bolton, a hardline interventionist, found himself increasingly sidelined in key foreign policy discussions. His departure in 2019 was marked by public acrimony, and his subsequent memoir, The Room Where It Happened, offered a damning insider account of Trump's decision-making process. Bolton's criticisms reinforced perceptions of chaos within the administration and provided ammunition for Trump's detractors. The resignation of William Barr. Another high-profile defection was that of Attorney General William Barr. A staunch defender of Trump during his first term, Barr played a pivotal role in managing the fallout from the Mueller investigation. However, following the 2020 election, Barr publicly contradicted Trump's claims of widespread voter fraud, stating that the Justice Department had found no evidence to support such allegations. This act of defiance placed him squarely in Trump's crosshairs, leading to his resignation in December 2020, and Barr's departure signaled a turning point in Trump's efforts to contest the election results, demonstrating how legal and political considerations can drive once loyal figures to distance themselves. The Mike Pence dilemma. Perhaps the most dramatic and consequential rift in Trump's circle came with Vice President Mike Pence. As Trump pressured Pence to overturn the electoral certification on January 6, 2021, Pence refused, citing constitutional constraints. This decision turned him from a loyal deputy into a target of Trump's ire, with the president's supporters chanting threats against him during the Capitol riot. Despite years of unwavering support for Trump, Pence's choice to uphold the Constitution led to an irrevocable break between the two, illustrating the fine line between loyalty and duty. The fall of Julius Caesar. The political betrayals in Trump's orbit echo historical events, such as the assassination of Julius Caesar. Caesar's concentration of power and disregard for Republican norms led to his assassination by a group of senators, including his ally Brutus. This act was driven by a belief that Caesar's leadership threatened the Republic's future, highlighting how perceived overreach can incite betrayal from within. Like Caesar, Trump's leadership has been marked by intense loyalty tests, and those who have defied him have often faced political exile. Other notable defections. Beyond these high-profile cases, numerous other Trump allies have distanced themselves over time. Figures like former Defense Secretary James Mattis, who resigned over disagreements on Syria policy, and former Chief of Staff John Kelly, who later described Trump as the most flawed person he had ever worked with, illustrate how personal and policy conflicts have repeatedly fractured Trump's inner circle. Even those who once thrived under Trump's leadership, such as former Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham and ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, have gone on to become some of his most vocal critics. Is dissent a betrayal? or a moral imperative? The patterns of betrayal in American politics. Betrayal is a recurring theme in American politics, particularly among those who rise to power through alliances based on convenience rather than ideological commitment. From past presidencies to modern political rivalries, history shows that political betrayal is not only common but often inevitable. In Donald Trump's case, his second term in office has only heightened tensions within the Republican Party, making it even more likely that some of his allies will eventually turn against him. Historical patterns of political betrayal. Abraham Lincoln and his cabinet disputes. Abraham Lincoln famously assembled a team of rivals, a cabinet composed of political adversaries whom he believed would strengthen his presidency. However, his leadership was frequently challenged by figures such as Treasury Secretary Salmon P. Chase, who not only undermined Lincoln behind the scenes but also actively sought the presidency while serving in his administration. Despite these tensions, Lincoln's ability to navigate internal disputes ultimately cemented his legacy. His assassination cut short what could have been an even greater test of his political alliances. Franklin D. Roosevelt and the Conservative Coalition. Franklin D. Roosevelt, despite his overwhelming popularity, faced opposition from within his own party as he expanded federal power under the New Deal. A group of conservative Democrats, aligning with Republicans, formed the Conservative Coalition to resist what they saw as government overreach. This internal betrayal led to the defeat of several key initiatives and foreshadowed long-term divisions within the Democratic Party that persisted beyond Roosevelt's presidency. Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal. Richard Nixon's downfall was accelerated by betrayals from within his administration. The Watergate scandal exposed deep fractures in his inner circle, leading to key figures turning against him under legal pressure. A prime example was John Dean, White House counsel, who cooperated with prosecutors and provided testimony that directly implicated Nixon. This pattern of betrayal under duress highlights how political survival often takes precedence over loyalty when legal and ethical dilemmas arise. Lyndon B. Johnson and Vietnam backlash. Lyndon B. Johnson, initially supported by a broad coalition of Democrats, faced increasing opposition from within his own party as the Vietnam War escalated. Figures like Senator Robert F. Kennedy, once a close ally, openly challenged his war policies, contributing to Johnson's decision not to seek re-election in 1968. This illustrates how shifting public sentiment can drive political betrayals, particularly when an administration's decisions become deeply unpopular. These cases illustrate that loyalty in politics is transactional. Once an alliance is no longer beneficial, betrayal becomes a strategic necessity. The new political fault lines. As Trump navigates his second term, the Republican Party is divided into distinct factions, each with its own motivations and strategies. The likelihood of betrayal increases as these factions weigh the costs and benefits of their continued loyalty to the president. The loyalists. Figures like Stephen Miller and Boris Epshteyn remain staunch defenders of Trump, fiercely advocating for his policies and attacking his critics. Their political fortunes are directly tied to Trump's continued dominance in the party. These individuals have built their careers on unwavering support for Trump and are unlikely to break ranks unless faced with extraordinary circumstances. The opportunists. Some Republicans, including governors and senators with presidential ambitions, are maintaining cautious support while subtly laying the groundwork for their own future campaigns. Figures like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley have at times distanced themselves from Trump's rhetoric, signaling their willingness to lead the party in a post-Trump era. These individuals are unlikely to betray Trump outright, but may pivot away if his influence begins to wane. The disillusioned establishment. Traditional conservatives, including figures like Mitch McConnell, have at times distanced themselves from Trump, especially when his policies or rhetoric threaten the broader party's stability. These individuals prioritize the long-term survival of the Republican Party over Trump's personal brand. If scandals or policy failures erode his support, This faction could play a decisive role in shifting the party's direction. Will Trump's second term end in betrayal? History suggests that as Trump's presidency progresses, more Republicans will begin positioning themselves for 2028. If Trump faces major scandals, economic downturns, or legal challenges, the likelihood of betrayal will only increase. Whether through public denunciations, quiet distancing, or direct political opposition, some of Trump's allies will inevitably turn against him, not out of principle but out of necessity for their own political survival. The future of Trump's political loyalty. Having successfully secured re-election in 2024, Trump now faces the challenge of maintaining loyalty within his party while navigating an increasingly polarized political environment. Some party members who once stood firmly behind him may start distancing themselves in anticipation of the 2028 elections, where new GOP contenders will vie for leadership. The role of political survival. Loyalty in politics is often dictated by self-preservation. With Trump facing ongoing legal and political battles, some Republicans may start hedging their bets. If his presidency encounters significant controversy or economic struggles, more allies may begin stepping away to protect their own political futures. Trump's history of publicly criticizing former allies who do not align with him further complicates the loyalty equation. Figures like Mike Pence have already experienced the repercussions of falling out of favor. This creates a dynamic where current allies must constantly weigh the benefits of standing by Trump against the risks of future retaliation. Will Trump redefine political loyalty? The coming years will determine whether Trump can maintain his grip on the Republican Party or if his influence will wane as new leaders emerge. Do you think someone will betray Trump? Comment below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into political power plays. Until next time,